for them.
Well, if anything, fosters more attacks and, well, definitely urges on some creativity, expand the horizon of the game. As for the moment, Algeria now look to put that dividend to full use here, trying to consistently battle their way to the try line, and they're inches away. Kenya might have to figure this out. Now the ball is held up in play. And bringing it for an earlier infringement here. Still just meters away, just inches away from that try line. Algeria coming pretty close. Kenya will have to have their wits about them ahead of this incident. As for the moment, there's a player on the ground. Amrik will require some medical attention before the game can resume. We do remind you that MTN are definitely up in here as we head in for a line out. And MTN do remind you that you can be your own investor with MTN Momo. Investors low as 1,000 and earn daily interest. You can also withdraw your money anytime you want. No paperwork needed. Simply dial *165 *6# and select your investor or use the MTN Momo app.
Game of high margins. It is 5 points apiece. 20 minutes of play. We have an injury break. Both teams have gotten to the opposite sides 22. But they have been repelled or they have been guilty of squandering possession. Algeria with a chance here from a brilliantly executed 50-22 line out. And as Aymeric Tronk, who is supposed to throw in the ball, was receiving some treatment and some attention. Attacking platform, Algeria from the line out. They go up and Marvin Youssef,
the captain, has been pretty remarkable in the Rugby Africa 2025 as Algeria looking to attack on the open flank. Kenya had shifted numbers to the blind side. Algeria trying to force the issue and they inch ever closer. One more big push could do the trick, and it is aptly so. Try time for Algeria. They do manage to force the issue and get it across the line. And they'll take their score to 10. Double the tally against Kenya. Some commendable build-up in there. Constantly hounding and making sure that they get the job done. Meanwhile, they'll be forced into an early substitution here. And it's Elias Mohamed Bagal who will be coming on to take the place of Amrik. Meantime, they did really lie in wait. Kenya, at some point, slightly guilty of shifting the numbers to the wrong area.
Yeah,
paying the price there as Camille Boregba did manage to go on and hurt them there. So 12-5 it stands at the moment.
And if you're at the grounds, you would now see, and of course the other team that will be preparing would be the Uganda Rugby Cranes, preparing for their 2 p.m. kickoff. We'll see the conversion. They are good splitting uprights. It is a 7-pointer advantage for Algeria, 12-5. Still in the first half of this game as they get a water break because of the searing conditions here. But the weather is pretty cloudy. The weather forecast gave a 20% chance of rain. Let's hope that doesn't materialize. The water break is on. Time for you to energize with some rock boom. Get some rock boom and enjoy NBS Sport. To all the viewers, again, thank you for keeping us company.
Rock Boom, of course, Uganda's #1 premium energy drink, bringing the energy to the pitch as the official energy partner of the Uganda Rugby Union. Talking about unstoppable energy on the pitch and in the stands as the Rugby Warriors battle it out here at the Rugby Africa Cup qualifiers at the Mandela National Stadium. So come on, feel the power, taste that bold Rock Boom energy, and cheer the boys all the way to victory. Rock Boom energizes your game. And in case you're in a financial twist and that scrum has you pegged under, well, Logbook Financing is a possibility for you to borrow money using the USSD code that is *249# and go ahead and follow the prompts. All brought to you by Platinum Credits. halfway the mark here, and Algeria have the lead in this particular half, 12-5. Kenya, not a team, by the way, that is used to being behind. Normally they know how to quickly turn the tide and get themselves back to the fore.
Yes, the Kenya Simbas, as the kickoff goes up, the Kenya Simbas won 100% of the kicks that they put against the Zimbabwe Sebos. They're finding a different proponent here in Algeria. Like you said, they are not a team that is used to being pegged back. So they are in kind of unfamiliar territory, save for the Zimbabwe Sebos, who actually picked them and then managed to pip them to a place in the finals. John Kubu spreads the ball wide, and they find a very willing runner in Derek Ashindu.
Ashindu getting on to the ball, trying to force the issue here. Bit of a delay. Caught in two minds there, Brian Wahinya. Marangwa seem not to be certain what to do, and now a tap and go, trying to quickly force themselves towards the 22. This is good play from the Simbas, giving Algeria plenty to worry about. Very swift in their transitions here, the Simbas of Kenya, and the support coming in numbers. John Kubu tries the kick and chase, looking to secure that ball, scooping it up, and still has options, battling his way forward. Good play from Victor Teddy. Akala on the ground. Kubu hands it off once again to Ayo. Already has a try to his name in this particular match. Want to double the tally. Emmanuel Simiyu Silungi for Kenya. Algeria trying to deploy numbers on the open side. And that's a brilliant swivel pass out onto the open end. Now looking to dribble, gets past one, but held up here by the last line of defense. Derek Ashindu with some good running in there. It just does manage to get Kenya into the 22, and now trying to go through the center of the park. Numbers abound. Algeria have to keep their wits about them. Kenya looking to break down this defense gradually, and this comes to be an opportunity out on the far end. Ooh, decent attempt. Samuel Ovwamu attempted to get to that one, but I think that was a slightly overcooked pass there by Brian Wahinya.
Well, no, that's a pass actually overcooked. Samuel Ovwamu got into a ball that wasn't intended for him. I think that pass was intended to get to Omela at the wing. As you can see, he was ready, willing. But again, good phase of play. The Kenya Simbas are struggling with the rush-up defense of Algeria, but they're doing all that they can to actually have a loop pass behind the advancing Algerian defense. It is very good attacking platform for the Kenya Simbas. And what does John Kubu choose to do? As they ask for the kicking tee, they will take this penalty. John Kubu there sizing up the options that they have of the penalty.
Well, it's a technique that Kenya seem to constantly use. With every time they have an opportunity to chip away at any points, they'll definitely have them for the taking. 24 minutes of the game played, they'll definitely fancy the opportunities here. But now it looks like there's a change in mindset, and it's to the scrum, which Kenya has done pretty well at. 100 percentile record, as we did point out, in this tournament so far, coming into this particular final day. So no surprise if they opt that. Well, looks like they'll actually kick for touch here, not the scrum.
So what happened there was the penalty was at the mark which the ref has shown now, which is closer to the touchline, and that makes the kick quite impossible. But their rolling maul has also been used to good effect.
Brilliant. Brilliantly put in there, and Musonye Mukamiti trying to batter his way forward, and now they do have themselves up in numbers. This is quickly becoming a human demolition derby. Biting with effect here and intent. Kenya testing their claws here against Algeria. This is a real pack scrambling. It's going to be nice to see what patterns and routines Kenya have worked themselves out here. And intent there, Timothy Omela Ejakite tries to force the issue. Kenya still have possession. Algeria staying pretty disciplined in their defensive system here. Pick, roll, chess, looking to carry on, forge opportunities. Brian Tanga goes to the ground for Kenya.
It is building up in terms of phases for the Kenya Simbas, and they will need to be as patient in this attack the same way the Algerians have shown that they are steadfast in their defense. As the ball comes out to John Kubu.
Always has a trick up his sleeve. John Kubu passes the ball with a bounce, and Derek Ashindu out on that flank tried to cut back into the center, as he has constantly done, not hugging the line but constantly cutting back towards the center and providing Kenya with options right down through the center as they still have the ball. John Kubu getting on that ball. How many guesses for him going for a kick?
No, not yet. I think he sees that the team is on the ascendancy, but they are, as has been much of a majority of this game, they are being pegged back by the rush defense of Algeria, which means as you continue passing the ball backwards, you continue losing ground.
Kubu once again looking for Ashindu, tries to get that ball, but fortunately for him it bounces backwards, and now Kenya repelled here and forced away from the 10 of Algeria. Well, this
Benjamin Kaminati saw an opportunity to jackal or snipe at it, but he was not in the right position. And there we have again being pegged back because of the rush defense of Algeria.
Well, into the half of Kenya, and that is steady defending here from Algeria, as there'll be need for medical attention here. And this could be the opportunity as well for the teammates to quickly rehydrate and probably grab a rock boom to re-energize the game, as rock boom is the official energy partner here of the Uganda Rugby Union and a proud sponsor of Rugby Africa Cup 2025.
Enzo Crawford there in some bit of discomfort. He was at some point on the deck and could have taken a shot to the head. Oh, he did not get his head out of the way there as he took Brian Wahinya down.
Ooh, that's a double tap. There was the hit with the backside that might have jockled his senses, but then a boot with studs to the side of the head while he was on the ground. I think it's probably what has gotten this medical break here awarded, but looks like he'll be able to soldier on after 26 minutes. Algeria still leading Kenya 12-5.
If Kalfa had stayed down a little longer, then I think they would have had to now start taking the concussion protocols into perspective. But it's a penalty to the Kenya Simbas. The Algerians guilty of illegally putting a foot onto the rugby ball as it was in the ruck, and that means you disrupt the attacking options of the team that is in possession. Penalty. John Kubu finds touch. Another line out to the Kenya Simbas. They have used the front ball and they have used the front jumper to good effect. This time they go to the number 4 jumper, but can't get the rolling maul to go.
Emmanuel Simiyu Silungi picking that out of the air magnificently. And Kenya now try to force the issue once again, looking to get and gain ground in enemy territory. Ashindu looks to put his pace to good effect here. The support not forthcoming, and Algeria doggedly look to push them off the mark.
That is the second time that the Kenya Simbas have been penalized, and only because they are holding on to the breakdown. I think they have to get a few more numbers onto there. Ashindu is being isolated too much at the right wing, so they have to do the backs have to do a little more work. I think that's from the number 13 and number 15. John Kubu needs to get into some of this action, as a yellow card is shown to one of the Algeria players, which means they will come back just 2 minutes before halftime. We'll get you the name as he goes and thinks about his transgressions.
Algeria have a player sent to the Sydney, number 14.
Well, it looks like that is Kemis Nouri, shot 14. That gets himself yellow carded or sent to the sin bin. And now Algeria, much as they do have the lead, will now face an even more formidable task. Interestingly, the weather patterns here at the Mandela National Stadium changing. The breeze coming in with triple effect, you could say. That's going to make for some very complicated kicking. The list of Algeria's problems, because right now they must shore up a defense as Kenya have a numerical advantage.
we saw how the kicking and the gusts of wind did affect both the Kenya Simbas and the Zimbabwe Sables in the semi-final game. The wind seems to blow from the side of Bulgaria up until towards the side of Ginger Road. That is from left to right. And Enzo Kralfa has been sent to the locker room for the concussion protocols, just like we had thought initially. So he will have about 10 minutes to get back onto the field of play after the concussion tests. But then Algeria have then been forced to make a substitution. And on comes number 22, Samir Kabuk, and he comes on as the concussion tests are being done on Kralfa. That knock to the back of the head could actually force him out of the game. John Kubu sizing up this kick for touch, and he finds it at the 5-yard line, and it will be another line out to the Kenya Simbas. They have plucked the ball out of the skies very well, or managed to reshuffle it, but they have not been able to get their maul working. There, Ibrahim
right at the edge of the try line here, and Kenya looking to once again get in. It's the numbers game now coming to the fore, but the referee asks them to keep themselves and their intents in check. Rugby, one of the games that might be contact sport, but suffers big displeasure towards any frowning on the rules. Transgressions are quickly nipped in the bud. You don't want to find yourself playing to your emotions and putting your team at a disadvantage.
Yeah, again, one of the things that they say about the game of rugby is it's a very, very physical game, and it's played totally by gentlemen. That is one good thing that we have at the rugby field. The Kenya Simbas there knock on that ball where, as the rolling maul was moving, that is very, very unfortunate for them. So it's a scrum down to Algeria, with a chance for Algeria to clear their lines. Pretty unfortunate for the Kenya Simbas, because that was a very good attacking platform, and they would have seized that opportunity to get themselves back into the game. Scrum down, Algeria ball.
In the meantime, the weather patterns at the Mandela National Stadium changing. A drizzle coming down, so that might change the perspective of the game as a long ball is played through to Chessin here. Picked up by Kenya. Looking to launch an attack from deep within their own half. Algeria, steady as always, rushing in to make sure they close down the gaps. Benjamin Kaminati trying to just for that ball, but just unable to take it. Kenya retain possession, still battling in here. Looking to launch a quick run through. It's not going quite according to plan. Kenya here, they've had a lot of possession, but haven't been able to make much use with it. That speaks to the tactical attitudeness of Algeria.
Algeria, like we said, with their rush defense, very, very organized. They have been pegging the Kenya Simbas back as the fans try to flee from the stands because of the downpour. It is coming down a little bit, and you will then see a lot more of it on the screens. It is going to make the ball a little more difficult to play for.
I did call for it earlier on, Soki, while we were doing the build-up, and I did let you know that this kind of sunshine in Uganda normally does act as a harbinger that the rains are just around the corner. And true to the good, they've definitely checked in exactly 1:20. Meanwhile, we were scheduled to have a 2 p.m. kickoff. That looks highly unlikely now, given the turn of events. The question might be, how quickly can they resolve and keep the game on plan? Referee signals here that there's an infringement, and mammoth crowds of the fans of the Kenya Simbas here looking to assemble under the tents. This is where you're torn between catching a glimpse of the game, but also making sure that you're dry enough for the rest of the day.
Oh yeah, as the rain keeps coming down, the fans are just trying to look for some shelter close to the octopus tents so that they can be able to still catch the match and also be able to get themselves and keep dry. And you know, rugby is an all-weather sport, so come rain, come shine, we will still play the game.
Except with lightning?
Yeah. If it's the conditions are playable, thunderstorms and lightning will then stop the game, or if it's in him hindering the visibility of both the players and the referee. However, as long as the ball can bounce in 4 or 5 different areas on the field, then that pitch is actually playable. So any 4 areas, as long as the ball can bounce, then that field is deemed to be playable.
Or as the Kenyans would say, tuendelee.
Yeah, we're going to play in the rain.
Looking to feed that ball in. Algeria, 32 minutes, just 8 minutes before the break. And there's a big kick here by Algeria, looking to gain territory, but that only lands solidly in the hands of Derek Ashindu. As Kenya will once again regroup here from within their own 10-meter line, out approaching the halfway line. Support has been slow in coming for them. They'll need to bolster that up quickly, and they do lose possession. The referee, of course, signaling that there'll be a chance for a scrum here. And with the rains, of course, comes the mud and the sweat. And one thing is absolutely certain, nobody will be worried here, as Omo is the ultimate stain remover and definitely a partner here of the Rugby Africa Cup 2025.
Some of the fans will brave it. Eddie Chiwanuka, you can see at the very, very top of our picture there, will stay in the rain, and they will keep singing with his troop of friends. Some of them are even shirtless if you look very, very closely, and that is how you enjoy the all rugby
Alexis?
weather. Yes, Alexis, of course, he's with his big, giant mug of drinks.
Yes, definitely one who enjoys. And pay attention to that position, because a little later, that might be the place where the Rugby Africa president will be perched as well. Does love to enjoy the game up in the stands. But here comes a restart, as the giant scoreboard on the side there still continues to show that it's the Algerians who, despite not dominating possession, have had the bigger say of the game, going to the ground. Referee there seems to signal that there's an infringement by Algeria, offside.
Yes, Algerians have been caught offside persistently through this game. I don't know if the referee will run out of patience. They have already been sent to the sin bin once, and the player is yet to come on. Still has about 4 minutes in the sin bin as John Kubu goes for the touch finder.
Looking about touching, and here it's a chance for the line out, and that will be Victor Teddy Akala to deliver here for Kenya. They've had different variations of the line out and been very successful, as once again it comes to moot for them as the drizzles take a temporary halt and reduce a bit in intensity. So some of the fans are finding their way back into the stands.
You would expect that with this kind of conditions, there are going to be a couple of more stoppages in terms of the knock-ons that happen as Ashindu gets a ball that has been tapped back. He is a very willing runner.
But the conditions are definitely not allowing him to put his best foot forward, let alone put it on the ground. Slippery surface it does become the instant it rains.
And that is another infringement. I talked about it. The referee, as number 5 for Algeria, is sent to the sin bin.
Mohamed Yakin Jabari, one of their more powerful and willing runners, and has had a scintillating game on day 2. But now we'll have to, make a reflection on his misdemeanors as the referee allows him to take a break. So 2 players in the sin bin, and Algeria finding themselves woefully short on numbers. Can they hold on to this lead until halftime and regroup?
Well, they will have to face the barrage of the Kenya Simba's attack lines, as the referee calls a stop to that and wants to talk to the captain. The line out will still be done. He was just not in a position to oversee proceedings there. The Algerians are in trouble because they are losing 2 members of their team, and with this set piece, if the Kenya Simbas can't get it out of the skies, then they would have a numerical advantage of proportions. Let's see if they can be able to utilize it, as one of the sin bin victims will be coming back within the next 2 minutes. So the Kenya Simbas have to act pretty quickly and take advantage of this numerical advantage.
Case of now or never. As they feed the ball in Algeria, they'll now find a way to have to hold on to that ball at least until they can get their numbers back in again. That rolling maul working for them as they continue to gain territory and finally relieving the pressure with a big kick, forcing Kenya back into their own territory.
And that is another
50-22.
50-22. The referee will not allow the quick take. A little bit of reprieve there as Kemis Nori had his hands on the ball and was clear to the line. Line out, and the throw will be taken in by Emerick Trunk.
Well, that would have been a nice way to reintroduce himself to the game after that sin bin. Kemis Nori returning and nearly returning with a plumb.
The Algerians want to force the issue.
And battling here right at the edge. And that will not count just as yet.
The Kenya Simbas penalized there for side entry. As you see the straight arm up there for the referee on the side of the Algerians. It is 2 minutes to halftime, and there we have one of their sin bin victims being summoned back onto the field. What will the Algerians choose here? In terms of options, they will go for the line out.
Well, find yourself in a bit of a fix and need a financial solution. Well, your logbook could be your ultimate bailout. And we do encourage you to go ahead and dial *249# and borrow some money from Platinum Credit, who are proud partners of Rugby Africa Cup Uganda 2025.
The rain continues to batter these two sides, and that throw
wasn't the best there from Algeria. Could have forced the issue. Kenya managed to get themselves a reprieve. Haven't utilized the numbers game just as yet, but could the silver lining be in the down patter of the rain? Support arriving, trooping in numbers, and now trying to battle their way forward, going to the ground. That ball almost lost in motion. Or was it lost in motion? Referee bringing it back for an early infringement.
Saving his blushes there, because after the huge tackle, Victor Akala could not keep the ball within. The numbers are being reshuffled as Algeria get back one of their players. Oh, that is Enzo Kralfa is back from the concussion tests. So I believe he has been cleared and he will then continue to take his place. So that substitution is not a permanent substitution. And
he's played his moment there of holding the fort. That is Elias Mohamed Begal. And with Enzo back on the pitch, Algeria slowly beginning to shape up towards what looks like their initial starting lineup, save for one man.
The tough conditions here now forcing the imbalance there in the scrum, and it just falls under the pressure. So we will have a restart of the scrum. The 8 men are supposed to remain as steady as they can be. But as the hooter for halftime goes, this will be our final play for this half. We will look forward to how the Kenya Simbas want to play this. Will they kick it straight into touch, or will they have an attempt at trying to close this margin before the halftime break?
Still top-notch games coming up later on after this. And, of course, Uganda will be in action against Cote d'Ivoire. And then the final, Zimbabwe taking on Namibia. And all this is action that is live here on NBS Sport. You can catch the games live from the Mandela National Stadium. Simply get your tickets using MTN Momo, proud partners of the Rugby Africa Cup 2025.
The Kenya Simbas guilty of offside, and they were in front of the kicker as Brian Wahinya went for that kick. He had 2 or 3 of his teammates in front of him, and that then means you're offside. Benjamin Kaminati with the penalty, and he seems interested. They will take a shot at the goalposts.
Bit of a distance, but it's a needs-must situation. Just take that attempt, not put the rest of the team under pressure to have to do anything else. If it works, point scored. If it doesn't, then it's to the dressing rooms. So Benjamin Kaminati will look to emulate the antics of Julian Saji Kaminati from the halfway line, or close the halfway line, lines up his kick. Does it have ample power within it? Kubu says the game will continue, and then thinks twice about it and now puts it out to send the two teams to the dressing room.
At that halftime, it is advantage Algeria, 12 points to 5 in this first half. Jermaine.
Formidable play it was. Algeria definitely showing once again that structured defending and adhering to some very disciplined backline performances, keeping Kenya at bay. They've had the bigger share of the possession, Kenya, but just could not find a way to break down that resolute backline over Algeria that has kept it pretty tight and allowed them to hold on to the slender advantage. Halftime, it is right here at the Mandela National Stadium in the Rugby Africa Cup 2025. It's Algeria 12, the Kenya Simbas 5.